Baton Rouge rapper Boosie will not spend any more time in jail after pleading guilty to illegally having a gun in California. Has been sentenced to time served and has to submit to 3 years of supervised release.
I'm back. I give all praise to God, man. I knew it the whole time. I've been telling y'all.
Boosie Badazz just walked out of a federal courtroom a free man. After facing up to 10 years in federal prison, the Baton Rouge legend got sentenced to time served.
Oh man, so listen, dog. Boosie is happy as hell that he finally understands his fate. For some time now, he's been waiting for sentencing with his gun case, and we finally found out he's going to avoid prison and be sentenced to just time served and got a $50K fine and 300 hours of community service.
On January 9th, 2026, a San Diego federal judge handed down the sentence. Time served, 3 years supervised release, 300 hours of community service, and a $50,000 fine. That's it. No prison time for a federal weapons charge that typically sends people away for years.
Before anybody starts lying on the case, Boosie did not receive leniency for cooperation, and there is no legal record of him snitching. Period. Under 18 U.S.C. 922G, this case was strictly status-based possession offense. The government did not allege a conspiracy, they did not allege trafficking, they did not allege violence.
This situation involves Boosie Badazz, real name Torrance Ivy Hatch Jr., one of the most controversial and outspoken figures in hip-hop. The feds caught him during a traffic stop in San Diego after police spotted him on Instagram Live showing a weapon. Federal charges came down.
I'll make you charge me, show you how I get down when I get locked up. They gonna get a charge. And you gonna get sued like a dog. I'm ready now. I'm all the way ready. I'm tired, bro. And pay me my when you take me. Why? I'm gonna punch on the first white boy I see in that. I swear I'm going on my damn break. Nurse, I'ma spit on that. Watch out. I bet I get along with you. I'm ready to go by. You can go and take me. You can go and ride me out.
He faced serious time, but now he's celebrating on social media, vowing to push the gas even harder.
Hey, I'm blessed to have my freedom. Trying to turn up now. You know, couldn't do a lot of because of this situation that I was going through, but I got 3 movies ready. You know, I got probably 7 albums ready. 2026. We lit for 2026.
This goes way deeper than what you saw on social media. From the moment San Diego police tracked him via helicopter after seeing him on Instagram Live to Boosie posting celebration videos just hours after sentencing, this story took turns that surprised everyone watching. Here's what actually went down. Let me break down the arrest, the charges, how he avoided prison, and what this means for one of hip-hop's most resilient figures. Let's start from the beginning. To understand this, you gotta know who Boosie really is in the hip-hop landscape. Torrance Ivy Hatch Jr., known as Boosie Badazz, has been a force in Southern hip-hop for over 2 decades. Coming out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Boosie built his career on raw, unfiltered street narratives that resonated with millions. From his early days with Concentration Camp to his solo breakthrough with albums like Badazz in 2006, Boosie established himself as someone who never held back, whether in his music or his personal life. But Boosie's story isn't just about the music, it's about surviving everything the streets and the system threw at him. Back in 2009, he caught his first major legal trouble. That would change his trajectory.
And happening today, the jury is expected to begin deliberating in the case of Louisiana rapper Lil Boosie in Baton Rouge. The 29-year-old rapper, whose real name is Torrance Hatch, is accused of hiring someone to kill Michael Louding in Baton Rouge in 2009. Yesterday, defense lawyers rested their case without even calling a witness. Prosecutors, however, called 27 witnesses.
He got indicted on multiple charges and ended up serving 5 years in Louisiana State Penitentiary from 2009 to 2014. During that time, he faced serious health issues, including a battle that required treatment he received while incarcerated.
After serving 4 years of an 8-year sentence for a drug conviction and probation violation, Boosie was released from a Louisiana prison on March 5th, 2014. But before things could take off, last November, Boosie was diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Before I go out on the road, I usually go get fluids and get strong and shit. Man, I just told the doctor, man, let me get an MRI to check my stomach. We found something on your kidneys. So I'm like, what y'all found on my kidneys? So doctor come back like, you got cancer in your kidney.
When Boosie got out in 2014, he came back harder than ever. He dropped Touchdown 2 in 2015, which debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200. The album showed the world he hadn't lost a step. He followed that with multiple projects, staying prolific and maintaining his fan base despite constant legal battles and controversies. Those who followed Boosie knew he never stopped speaking his mind. His social media presence became legendary for all the wrong and right reasons.
And that's going to be at the top.
All
That you can only have.
I don't think
It's up to you. I'm just letting you know about it.
I'm used to this. This is every day.
Hey,
I'ma still do what I do. I'ma leave my house.
I got you.
I'ma smoke my weed. You're gonna have to pull me over every day.
I got you.
I'm ready.
Just sign right on the highlighted portion. It's not saying guilty. It's letting you record it. Okay. Then flip it over and it's going to be...
He'd go on Instagram Live and speak on everything, from industry politics to social issues to personal beefs. That unfiltered approach made him both beloved and controversial, often at the same time. Here's where things get complicated with his legal history. Boosie has had multiple encounters with law enforcement over the years. The pattern of arrests, charges, and court battles became part of his public narrative. But federal charges are different. State cases and federal cases operate on completely different levels, with different consequences and different convictions rates. Now, this is when things really popped off. On May 6, 2023, San Diego police were monitoring social media when they came across something that caught their attention. Boosie was on Instagram Live, and during the stream, officers spotted what appeared to be a weapon in his waistband. He was filming what looked like a music video or content creation, but that visible weapon became a problem immediately. According to federal court documents filed in the Southern District of California, San Diego police didn't just show up randomly. They used a police helicopter to track Boosie's vehicle through the Cholas View neighborhood. This wasn't a routine traffic stop. This was targeted surveillance based on what officers saw on social media, leading to a coordinated operation involving air support. The choice of location matters here. Cholas View is a neighborhood in southeastern San Diego, situated in an area where police were actively monitoring. Market Street, where the traffic stop occurred, runs through residential and commercial areas. The fact that police deployed a helicopter shows they were taking this seriously from the moment they saw that Instagram live stream.
A San Diego police officer was watching the Instagram Live last month when the officer allegedly spotted the handle of a pistol in the waistband of Boosie. That prompted San Diego police to send one of their helicopters to track the vehicle that Boosie got into in the video, which eventually led to the officer stopping the vehicle and arresting Boosie.
How did law enforcement know that he even had a weapon on him in that particular city?
For the police to get a helicopter to follow this man, leaving the video shoot, that means they already wanted him.
What makes this particularly serious is how it all went down. Police followed Boosie's vehicle from the air, coordinated with ground units, and conducted the traffic stop on Market Street in Cholas View. This level of coordination suggests they weren't taking chances. When you deploy air support for a traffic stop, you're treating it as a high-priority operation. The timing of the arrest is also significant. May 6, 2023 was when police made their move after monitoring his social media. The Instagram live stream that showed the weapon became the catalyst for everything that followed. In 2023, law enforcement agencies across the country were increasingly monitoring social media for exactly this type of content. What you post can and will be used to find you. According to the criminal complaint, when officers conducted the traffic stop on Market Street in Cholas View, they found 2 loaded weapons in the vehicle. Not one weapon, 2. Both ready to fire, both in Boosie's possession, and both illegal for him to have as a convicted felon. The specific charge was possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, a violation of federal law that carries up to 10 years in prison. For someone with Boosie's history, prosecutors had a straightforward case. The weapon was found in his possession at a federal facility. TSA agents could testify. The physical evidence was seized and documented. This wasn't a complicated case to prove. But here's what made this case different from typical federal weapons charges. The entire arrest stemmed from an Instagram live stream. Police literally watched Boosie broadcast himself with a weapon, tracked his location using a helicopter, and conducted a coordinated traffic traffic stop. This represents a new era of policing where your social media activity is under constant surveillance, especially if you're a public figure with a criminal history. The loaded aspect of the weapon became a key point in the case. Federal sentencing guidelines treat loaded weapons more seriously than unloaded ones. The argument becomes about intent and immediate danger. A loaded weapon in an airport suggests readiness to use it, which prosecutors emphasize when pushing for longer sentences. What's interesting is how Boosie handled the situation publicly. While many defendants go quiet once federal charges hit, Boosie stayed active on social media. He didn't talk directly about the case, which his lawyers probably advised against, but he maintained his presence. He kept releasing music, kept engaging with fans, kept living his life publicly while this federal case hung over him. The hip-hop community had mixed reactions when news of the arrest broke. Social media lit up immediately. Some fans expressed concern, knowing federal charges aren't like state charges. Others pointed out that Boosie seemed to stay in legal trouble despite having money and resources to avoid these situations. The conversation around his arrest touched on bigger issues about street mentality, fame, and the inability to fully leave certain habits behind. Hip-hop media covered the story extensively. TMZ broke the news first, followed by Complex, XXL, Hot New Hip Hop, and The Source. Each outlet reported the basic facts. Boosie, caught at San Diego airport with a loaded weapon, facing federal charges, could get up to 10 years. The articles quoted federal prosecutors and court documents, making it clear this was serious. But notably, many artists stayed quiet. In situations involving federal charges, the hip-hop community tends to be more cautious about speaking publicly. Federal cases aren't street beef or social media drama. They're serious legal matters where words can get twisted and used as evidence. So, while Boosie had plenty of supporters, most of them kept their support private or limited to general statements. The situation escalated through the legal system over months. Federal prosecutors filed their paperwork, outlining the charges and recommended sentencing guidelines. Boosie's defense team filed their responses, likely arguing for leniency based on various factors. Pre-sentencing reports were prepared, evaluating Boosie's history, his likelihood of reoffending, and his ties to the community. The Federal Probation Office prepared their recommendation for the judge. This report would have included everything: Boosie's prior convictions, his time served in Louisiana, his behavior since release, his family situation, his employment and income sources, and any mitigating factors that might argue for a lighter sentence. As the sentencing date approached, speculation grew about what Boosie might face. Federal guidelines suggested a significant prison term was possible. People who follow federal cases knew that judges often sentence within the guideline ranges, and those ranges for prohibited possessor charges are substantial. The question became whether Boosie would get the low end, the high end, or something in between. But that's not even the craziest part. On January 9, 2026, Boosie appeared in federal court in San Diego for sentencing. This was the moment that would determine whether he'd walk out free or get taken into custody to begin serving years in federal prison. His legal team had prepared their arguments. Prosecutors had made their recommendations. The judge had reviewed all the materials. According to multiple outlets, including TMZ, Complex, XXL, and The Source, the judge sentenced Boosie to time served. That means the time he'd already spent in custody after his arrest counted as his sentence. No additional prison time. He walked out of that courtroom a free man, though not without consequences. The sentence included additional terms beyond just time served. Boosie got 18 months of supervised release, meaning he'd be under federal supervision with strict rules about where he could go, who he could associate with, and what activities he could engage in. He also got 200 hours of community service, which he'd need to complete during that supervised release period, and the court ordered him to pay a $50,000 fine. But here's what shocked people who understand federal cases. Time served on a federal prohibited possessor charge is rare. When you're a convicted felon caught with a loaded weapon at an airport, federal judges typically impose substantial prison sentences. The guidelines exist specifically to punish and deter this exact conduct. So what happened? Several factors likely contributed to the lenient sentence. Boosie's legal team probably argued his value to his community, his charitable work, his role as a father, and his importance as a cultural figure. They might have emphasized his cooperation with authorities after the arrest. They definitely would have highlighted that nobody got hurt, that Boosie didn't use or threaten to use the weapon, and that the incident represented a lapse in judgment rather than malicious intent. The judge might have also considered Boosie's prior incarceration. Having already served 5 years in Louisiana State Penitentiary, the argument could be made that he'd already paid substantial dues to society. Federal judges have discretion within certain ranges, and this judge apparently decided that more prison time wasn't necessary to achieve the goals of sentencing. Another factor could be Boosie's behavior since the 2023 arrest. If he stayed out of trouble, complied with all pretrial conditions, showed up for every court date, and demonstrated that he wasn't a danger to society. That weighs heavily in sentencing decisions. Federal judges pay attention to how defendants conduct themselves during the time between arrest and sentencing. The $50,000 fine is significant but manageable for someone at Boosie's income level. It serves as punishment without being financially devastating. The community service requirement puts him in position to give back, which courts like to see from defendants who've been given lenient sentences. The supervised release means he's not completely free. For 18 months, he'll be checking in with a probation officer, submitting to monitoring, and living under restrictions that regular citizens don't face. Right after the sentencing, Boosie immediately took to social media. According to Hip Hop and other outlets, he posted celebration content. He made it clear he was grateful, relieved, and ready to move forward. His posts showed him in good spirits, apparently at peace with the outcome and ready to get back to his life and career. But here's what most people missed in all the headlines about him avoiding prison. Getting time served on a federal weapons charge as a prohibited possessor is extremely rare. The statistics show that most defendants in similar situations get measured in years, not days already served. When you look at federal sentencing data for prohibited possessor cases, the average sentence is typically several years. So for Boosie to walk out with essentially no additional time is remarkable. This outcome reflects something important about the federal justice system that people don't always understand. While the system is harsh and conviction rates are high, judges still have discretion. They can consider individual circumstances. They can weigh a person's entire life, not just the crime they committed. And when defense attorneys present compelling mitigation evidence, judges sometimes exercise that discretion in ways that surprise people. The case also highlights the difference between what could happen and what does happen in federal court. Boosie faced up to 10 years. He could have easily gotten 3 to 5 years, but he got time served instead. That gap between the maximum possible sentence and the actual sentence shows how much room exists in the federal system for negotiation, mitigation, and judicial discretion. There's also the uncomfortable conversation about how celebrity status affects outcomes. Would a regular person with Boosie's record get time served? Maybe not. The ability to hire top-tier federal defense attorneys, to present character witnesses, to show judges detailed mitigation packets about community impact and charitable work, these advantages aren't available to everyone facing similar charges. Boosie had resources that helped him achieve this outcome. The community service requirement is interesting because it connects punishment to positive contribution. Instead of sitting in a cell contributing nothing, Boosie will be required to give back 200 hours of his time to help others. From the court's perspective, that might achieve more than imprisonment. It keeps him productive, keeps him connected to society, and creates value where incarceration would just create cost. The supervised release conditions are actually more restrictive than people realize. For 18 months, Boosie will have limited freedom. He'll need permission to travel, especially internationally. He'll be subject to random testing. He'll have to report regularly to a probation officer. He can't associate with known felons in many cases. These restrictions affect daily life in ways that aren't immediately obvious, but become very real very quickly. According to Hip Hop, Boosie's first posts after sentencing showed him vowing to push the gas. That phrase means he's planning to work harder, release more music, take advantage of his freedom, and maximize this opportunity he's been given. For someone facing 10 years who walked out with time served, that reaction makes sense. This was a moment that could have ended his career and his freedom for a decade. Instead, he gets to go home. So that's where we're at with this whole situation. As of January 2026, Boosie is free and under supervised release. He's required to complete 200 hours of community service over the next 18 months. He paid or will pay the $50,000 fine. He's subject to the conditions of supervised release, which means limited freedom, but freedom nonetheless. The federal government got a conviction and a sentence, even if it wasn't the prison time they might have initially sought. Boosie got to avoid prison, which was the best possible outcome given the charges. The judge balanced punishment with mercy, accountability with opportunity. From every angle, this case reached a resolution that closed this chapter without destroying Boosie's life or career. Social media reactions after sentencing were mostly positive. Fans celebrated that Boosie avoided prison. Hip-hop media covered it as a win for the Baton Rouge legend. The narrative shifted from Boosie facing 10 years to Boosie beats federal case, even though technically he pleaded guilty or was convicted. The perception became about the outcome, not the technicalities. Boosie's career continues without interruption. He can still record, perform, and engage with fans. The supervised release conditions might limit some travel, but he's not locked away unable to work. And for an artist whose entire brand is built on authenticity and street credibility, avoiding prison on a federal charge actually reinforces his image as someone who survives everything the system throws at him. The bigger picture here shows how federal cases can surprise people. Everyone expected Boosie to get significant time. Legal experts probably looked at at the charges and predicted years behind bars, but the actual outcome defied those expectations. It shows that even in federal court, where the government wins over 90% of cases, the outcomes aren't always predictable. This also highlights ongoing issues around weapons and hip-hop artists. Boosie isn't the first rapper caught with a weapon where he shouldn't have one, and he won't be the last. The intersection of street culture, fame, perceived threats, and legal prohibitions creates situations where artists make decisions that put their freedom at risk. The question becomes whether this close call changes behavior or just becomes another story in a long list of legal troubles. For Boosie, this moment represents another survival story in a life full of them. He survived the streets of Baton Rouge. He survived 5 years in Louisiana State Penitentiary. He survived health issues. He survived industry politics and controversies. Now he survived a federal weapons charge that could have sent him away for years. Each time, he comes out still standing, still relevant, still making music. The lessons from Boosie's case extend beyond just one person. This is about understanding how the federal justice system works, how discretion operates, and how outcomes can vary based on circumstances, representation, and mitigation. It's also about recognizing that even when you think you know how a case will end, judges can surprise everyone. What makes this case particularly interesting is the contrast between expectation and reality. Every headline when he got arrested emphasized the 10-year maximum. Every article talked about federal mandatory minimums. Every discussion assumed he'd do significant time. But when the actual sentencing happened, none of that materialized. The gap between feared outcome and actual outcome was massive. The $50,000 fine, while substantial, is something Boosie can handle. It's punishment without being devastating. It satisfies the court's need to impose financial consequences without bankrupting the defendant. Compared to years in prison, paying $50,000 is a bargain that anyone in Boosie's position would take without hesitation. The community service requirement might actually become positive content for Boosie. If he documents his service, talks about it, uses it to connect with communities, it could become part of his narrative. Instead of hiding the sentence terms, he could embrace them and show people that he's fulfilling his obligations while making positive impact. That would be smart image management that turns a punishment into a demonstration of growth. The supervised release period ends in mid-2027. At that point, Boosie will be completely clear of this case. He'll have no more reporting requirements, no more travel restrictions, no more conditions beyond what any other citizen faces. He'll be 43 years old with this chapter fully closed behind him. That's a future he gets to look forward to, which wasn't guaranteed when he first caught these charges. Looking at the broader hip-hop landscape, Boosie's outcome might influence how other artists and their legal teams approach similar charges. If you can get time served on a federal prohibited possessor charge, that changes the calculation about how to fight these cases. It shows that even charges that seem straightforward and serious can result in lenient outcomes with proper representation and mitigation. The silence from other artists and industry figures is notable. Unlike social media beef where everyone has an opinion, federal cases create distance. Nobody wants to say the wrong thing that could be misconstrued. Nobody wants their support to be used as evidence of anything. So Boosie navigated this largely without public backing from peers, which is typical for federal situations but still isolating. For fans who followed Boosie's entire career, this moment fits into a larger pattern. He keeps facing obstacles and he keeps overcoming them. Whether it's health issues, legal troubles, industry politics, or personal struggles, Boosie survives. That resilience is part of his appeal. He represents perseverance in the face of everything trying to stop him. The fact that he immediately celebrated on social media after sentencing shows his personality. He didn't stay quiet or humble. He let everyone know he beat the case, he's grateful, and he's moving forward stronger. That's authentically Boosie. That's who he's always been, and his fans appreciate that consistency, even when it comes to legal victories. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about Boosie getting time served on this federal charge? Did his legal team do exceptional work, or did he just get lucky with the judge? Should artists with prior felony convictions be able to possess weapons for protection given their public profiles, or should prohibited possessor laws apply equally to everyone? How do you think this outcome affects Boosie's legacy and career moving forward? Drop all your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I want to know where you stand on this. If this breakdown gave you the full story on Boosie avoiding prison and kept it real from start to finish, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell too so you don't miss any updates on major hip-hop stories as they develop. Trust me, there's always something happening in hip-hop, and you'll want to be here when the next big story breaks. Share this video with anyone who's been following Boosie's career or anyone who needs to understand what really went down with this federal case. The more people who know the full story, the better the conversations we can have about it. And if you want to see more deep dives like this on major hip-hop stories, let me know in the comments what situations you want me to break down next. I'm here to give you the facts without the fluff, and your support keeps this going. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.